Universal made waves earlier this week with the big announcement of Epic Universe, which is an all-new theme park coming to the Orlando Resort in 2025. The most anticipated ride is arguably Starfall Racers, a massive dueling coaster from Mack Rides. But in this video, I want to highlight the chain's existing attractions, specifically their roller coasters. Many of Universal's coasters combine theming and thrills into one complete package. It is always a treat getting a bona fide Scream machine that's themed to the nines. So in this video, I will rank the chain's top 10 roller coasters at the Universal parks across the globe. Now this list will only include coasters I have personally ridden, so there are a few notable exceptions. First, I have not been to Universal Beijing or Universal Singapore. I would like to get to those parks someday, because they look fantastic. Some coasters are clones of existing ones I've ridden, but there are some unique ones like the dueling Battlestar Galactica, which offers both a traditional sit-down and inverted layout side by side. Second, I will not be including Ripsaw Falls. I love this log flume, but those are the key words. I consider this to be a log flume, not a coaster. I know some people do count it as a coaster because of the speed hill after the final drop, and it's even on sites like Coaster Count. Had I included it, Ripsaw Falls would have definitely made the list. I should also probably state that High in the Sky Seuss Trolley will also not be on the list, but I've seen people count this as well because it technically uses the Mack-powered coaster ride system. Third, I will not be including any coasters at PortAventura. Universal owned this resort at one time, and there is a strong rumor they may reacquire it, but I want this list to only include parks that are currently in their portfolio. Now let's dig into the list. Number 10. Space Fantasy at Universal Studios Japan. This is usually an indoor Mack spinning coaster. I say usually because that's not how I experienced it. As part of the Cool Japan event, it is given virtual reality, and the spinning feature is most importantly disabled. While the VR was the best I've seen on a coaster, I much preferred the ride with its original theming. The effects were kept active if you removed your headset, and I loved the giant planets and strobe room. Then the layout had 3 sizable drops with good speed, and there was even a pop of airtime mixed in. While it was fun, I know I would have liked it far more with the spinning. That would have been super disorienting with the darkness and visual effects. Number 9. Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts at Universal Studios Florida. While much of this attraction feels more like a dark ride, it does have some coaster elements. Skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want to know what they are. So, spoiler alert. The coaster begins with a tilt track. It's not too tall, nor is it steep, but it is very theatric as you combat Bellatrix, and the plunge into the dark tunnel gives a freefall sensation. Then there's a surprise launch at the very end as you blast through a hole in the screen. But the meat of the experience is the theming. It is mostly 3D screens, but the visuals are crisp and clear as the actors and actresses from the film reprise their roles. Then the pre-boarding experience is extremely immersive with the goblin animatronics in the queue line and the elevator sequence as well. Number 8. Revenge of the Mummy at Universal Studios Hollywood. This is a Premier Rides indoor launch coaster with a different layout than the others. That's because this one was built in the former E.T. Adventure Show building, meaning the building was not as tall, but the ride still offers a memorable experience. There's plenty of theming in the queue line start. I love the statues you pass during the dark ride sequence. Then launch 1 is incredibly well timed, as you blast off as statues drop down from the ceiling. And the acceleration is punchy too. The forwards layout is less intense than the others, but it still offers 2 decent spots of floater airtime. Then this one compensates with a much longer backward sequence. It's not too crazy, but it can still catch you off guard because you're undulating in the dark. The finale is very anticlimactic though with the turntable directly into the brake run, but the ride is otherwise satisfying. Number 7. Revenge of the Mummy at Universal Studios Florida. This is also a Premier Rides indoor launch coaster. This was a similarly great start with a themed dark ride section blending screens and physical props. Then the launch is equally as exciting here, just in a different way, as this one goes uphill, so it offers a nice kick overcoming gravity. The main layout offers a few solid pops of airtime. And there is another show scene towards the end that'll surprise first-time riders. It is a very clever effect. The final bit is fairly tame, but it is atmospheric with the lighting and fog. This is the version of the Mummy that can also be found at Universal Studios Singapore. Number 6. The Incredible Hulk Coaster at Islands of Adventure. This iconic Bolliger and Mabillard looping coaster dominates the front half of the park. It is impossible to miss the launch tunnel and giant inversions. You hear Hulk roar anytime a train launches, and that launch is awesome. While it is tire-driven, it has some serious oomph because it's uphill. Then the first half is an intense flurry of inversions. The zero-G roll after the launch is whippy. Then the Cobra roll and vertical loop pile on the positive Gs. I routinely gray out there. And I also like the corkscrew midway through the ride that drops you downwards into another vertical loop. The finale is pretty underwhelming though, as the ride crawls through the final few turns. And along with the elements, this ride also features a wonderful on-ride soundtrack that gets your heart pumping. The popularity of this ride led to it being cloned at Universal Studios Beijing, except there it was given a Transformers theme as it runs as Decepticoaster. Number 5. Hollywood Dream at Universal Studios Japan. This is a B&M Mega Coaster running along the front of the park. While it doesn't quite reach hyper heights, it features a familiar out and back layout with a series of camelbacks. Almost every hill has sustained floater airtime. I didn't find the airtime as strong as other B&M hypers, but that's because I kept getting assigned a middle row. Like many rides in Japan, seating is strictly assigned. The back row usually offers the best airtime in the older B&M hypers, and a few friends who got the back said it was noticeably better. The airtime was still plentiful in the middle rows at least. The ride doesn't have much in terms of theming, but it does have onboard audio where you pick a famous song to ride along to. And lastly, you also have the backdrop experience, which is a backwards train. This adds a whole new dynamic to the familiar B&M hyper. Up next would have been Dueling Dragons at Islands of Adventure. This was a duo of B&M inverts, and both sides were intense. Both the Fire and Ice Dragon sides had unique layouts that were cleverly intertwined. This resulted in some frighteningly close near misses. The visuals were incredible. Then the layouts were also strong on their own as well. Both had a forceful vertical loop halfway through the ride, but everything else differed. Fire was more consistently strong start to finish. The Immelmans had great positive Gs, the giant Camelback had some rare airtime for the genre, and this side offered an extra corkscrew at the end. Ice had a weaker finale with a tame turn at the end, but everything that preceded it was sweet. This side had the best overall element with the incredibly whippy zero-G roll, and the Cobra roll was snappy as well. The layouts were impressive until the end, but the ride experience did weaken over the years. The original queue line was long and immersive, but was later redone to fit in with the wizarding world of Harry Potter. Then the ride stopped dueling after some incidents with loose articles. Number 4. Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket at Universal Studios Florida. This is a similar type of ride to Hollywood Dream. It is a big out-and-back coaster that forgoes theming. Instead, you pick a series of famous songs to ride along to. The audio is great. While this Mauer X-Car coaster gets a lot of flack, I think it's a really underrated ride among coaster enthusiasts. Sure, the lift hill is steeper than the drop, but the drop still offers good floater airtime. Yes, there are a ton of brake runs, but the entries and exits to each one are sharp, so they repeatedly offer some nice airtime. And the ride does shake, but I don't find it too uncomfortable because of the lap bars. Ultimately, I really like the elements. Along with the airtime hills, you also have a cool non-inverting loop blending negative Gs and laterals, and there are some tight and forceful turns peppered in as well. Number 3. Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure at Islands of Adventure. This intimate multi-launch coaster is an engaging experience start to finish. It is a super long ride featuring a staggering 7 launches, each of which is punchy and yanks the train forwards. The turns offer solid positive Gs, and they're extra thrilling if you're in the elevated motorbike seat. Then the dips offer some weak airtime to contrast with the turns. And there are 2 additional trick elements later in the ride that I don't want to spoil here, but they're 2 of the best parts of the ride. Then this coaster also has incredible theming. You pass a series of impressive animatronics along the route, carve through the Forbidden Forest and castle, and you also have onboard audio telling you a story. Number 2. Flying Dinosaur at Universal Studios Japan. As I covered in a separate review, this is the world's most intense flying coaster. This B&M creation kicks things off with a steeper drop than the other flyers. You get some freaky airtime in the rear rows. Imagine levitating while in the prone position because that's exactly what this ride does. Then the next 2 elements are 2 of the best for sustained positive Gs. You have this wicked 540-degree twist that ends with you on your back. It offers Gs like a pretzel loop, and sure enough, it is immediately followed by a traditional pretzel loop into an underground tunnel no less. This part is draining in a good way. The rest of the ride features an additional airtime hill, some graceful inversions, and some forceful turns above the midway. Number 1. Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventure. This intimate multi-launch coaster is one of the world's best coasters. The queue line has some impressive visuals, most notably the Raptor animatronics, and the ride tells a cohesive story around the Jurassic World franchise. Then the layout is absolute masterclass. It gets stronger as it goes, but that's not to say the first half is bad. The initial launch is punchy, and the first 2 inversions wildly chuck you from your seat. Then there are a few airtime pops as you narrowly avoid rocks and raptors in the paddock. Then the second half is blistering speed. It starts with the second launch accelerating you to your top speed. Then the giant top hat is oodles of ejector airtime. Then the train charges through a wild stall with a blend of inverted airtime and laterals. You then have a few additional airtime hills over the pathways, and eventually, the Mosasaurus roll. This is a high-speed barrel roll over the water, and is phenomenal. It laterally tries to eject you from the train. It is one of the best inversions in the world. This ride's length, power, and diversity make it an absolute joy to re-ride, and I have a separate review published on the channel if you want to hear more. So those are the top 10 roller coasters I've personally ridden in the Universal parks. Which coasters are your favorites in the chain? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this countdown, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.